Everything you want starts with the belief that it's even possible. If you didn't think something might be possible, if you weren't even just slightly curious as to see if an outcome could possibly happen, you wouldn't even be paying attention to it. And this is the thing, you don't need to know the final result. You don't need to know what exactly the picture is going to look like. You don't need to visualize and manifest that this is exactly what I'm going to have, the exact colors at the exact time, etc. And all of that stuff you've probably heard before. All you have to really do is think, there is a possibility. I'm gonna lay out some basic truths. If you've spent your whole life around a certain type of people who think a certain type of way, you are gonna think a certain type of way. Let's take the status quo of the year 2000. Most people who are adults now grew up with, when we were kids, everybody went to bed at night, woke up in the morning, worked from 9 to 5, worked 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday, had Saturdays and Sundays off, had a couple of weeks off here and there throughout the year, and most people didn't make over $100,000 a year, save for, let's say, the one doctor in town or the one lawyer. And what does this lead you to believe as a person who is living in this reality? Someday when I get older, I'm gonna have to work 9 to 5. This is what's expected of me. And it's pretty normal that I'm never gonna make more than $100,000 a year unless I go and study some profession like being a doctor or lawyer and dedicate like 10 or more years of my life to it. Money doesn't come easily to people. Money takes a lot of work and time and investment. And the thing is, what you tell yourself inside your head dictates the reality that you live in. What you tell yourself you can't do, you will not be able to do it. But if you insist on something being possible, your brain and your body will listen. Your brain will inevitably find a way to make it happen. What you focus on is what will happen. If you think somehow that you're stuck and you're repeating the same loop of existence that you dread over and over again, your brain will focus on being stuck in a loop over and over again. It will seek confirmation of this belief, and it will be hyper fixated on surviving this unwanted and dangerous reality. You have to think of your brain as being a certain type of computer. We have many feelings and thoughts that come and go throughout the day, and at the end of the day we do not remember most of them, but the ones that we choose to pay attention to and that our mind reinforces are the ones that we gravitate towards, whether it's good or bad. This is just inevitably what our brain processes. We do have a tendency to gravitate toward some thoughts, such as the way that we were brought up, our life events, and the life circumstances that we have survived up to this day. We have a programming from which to start. We have a chance every single day to say no to these unwanted thoughts and feelings and to navigate new ones. We have the chance every single day to create new neural pathways and to dispose of old unwanted ones that have not given us the peaceful and happy life that we desire. But the problem is, and this is the biggest thing that I don't think anyone talks about, we feel powerless. Right there, that's the problem. This is why the notion of saying affirmations and putting our thoughts out into the universe seems like total bullshit, because we think, I'm not that powerful. There's not much that I can do, so what does it matter how much I change my mind if I am capable of so little? This is not going to solve anything. But the thing that we fail to see is that all we need to do is change our mind to that 1 degree of difference that will allow us to reach out our hand and ask for the thing that we want. Let me give you an example. Say you are hungry and you are in need of a meal. There's 2 ways to go about this. This is what we think. Because we're powerless, we think that manifesting something works out like this. You need to learn how to drive, then get a job so that you can save for a car, and then find that said car and purchase it and go to the DMV and then buy car insurance for it, get the license plates. After you learn how to drive and you have the car, then you have to buy a house so that you have a kitchen to cook this meal in, and you have to go to the store and buy the utensils and the pots and the pans and the plates and the cups and the bowls, and then you have to go and buy the raw ingredients, and you have to learn how to use a GPS to even get to the store, and then when you get to the store you have to know what ingredients to pick out and how to even pick out avocados and how to pick out what it is that you need that you don't even know how to make, and then you have to buy it, bring it home, bring it in, put it away, learn how to use the stove, learn how to use the pots and pans, learn how to cook the said recipe, learn how to use the phone to use YouTube to look up how to make the said recipe, or how to call whoever, your aunt, your great grandma, to learn how to make the recipe, and then spend the effort and time making it. And then after all of this is when you're gonna get to eat it. But that is not actually the case. That is just our limited belief. And this is what we say to ourselves to make ourselves feel powerless. And why, I'll get to in a moment. Option number 2 is you need a meal. You don't have the car, you don't have any food wherever you are, but you need to eat. You can call a friend or a loved one and ask, can you feed me? I am in need. You can order Uber Eats if you have a phone and some money to make it happen. And if you're lucky, it'll even come with utensils. You can walk to the corner store and get yourself a sandwich or a bag of chips if you are literally starving. And in the worst case scenario, if you are dead broke and you are starving, you can go to a homeless shelter, you can go to a food pantry, you can go to some charitable organization and ask for a meal, and you will get one. And if that's not even possible, if you literally reach out your hand into the street and beg, you will get few cents, $1, and buy yourself something from somewhere so you don't actually starve to death. There's so many options, and all it really takes is asking. See, the world is much like a type of computer itself as well. Oftentimes all it takes is a little feedback or just a simple, very simple set of instructions to get exactly what we need. I think intuitively we know this, probably almost every person alive knows this, and this is what I was getting to before. We live under a thin veil of comfort. It is so comfortable to repeat the same cycle that you've been accustomed to knowing your entire life, even if you're unhappy, because comfort equals safety. You think that if you never try anything unknown, there is no possibility of getting anything worse than what you think. I think you can avoid disappointment by simply not doing the new thing and just continuing the old. But the thing is, life is constantly changing all the time, fast. Life doesn't just change more slowly if we try to halt it and stay in the same place. Life is always changing extremely rapidly. We just fool ourselves into thinking that it's not. So you have 2 options. One is to take it by the reins and accept the reality of your existence and direct it into a place that you want it to go, or try to shield your eyes from the truth and not see and not know, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, and you think that that's somehow going to make you not suffer. But all it actually does is make you go further into a direction that you don't want. It is literally like sleepwalking. It's your chance to put that into perspective and to project into the future. I believe that a future me could be someone publishes videos on YouTube that people actually watch. Though I am not the best, I will not be the best immediately, and I am lesser than, there's still the possibility. And then I believe that with time I can improve. Whatever I have, I just have to reach out a hand and say yes, and it's not going to be perfect and it's not going to be good enough right now, tomorrow. But with time, with every passing day, I will eventually reach a point into which I am a completely different person. Think about it. If you're 20 years old right now, there was a day when you were only 5 years old, only 6 years old, and 5 and 6 didn't seem that different from each other. But suddenly you became 20 and you are a totally, completely, or mostly unrecognizable person than you were 15 years ago. That came with the passage of time. So even if you don't believe it's possible right away, you still have to be brave enough to open your mind and your heart and have courage to accept that it could be so. It may be right away. It may take a long amount of time. I don't know. I don't know the future, but I believe it's possible. But just by simply accepting it's okay that right now I am highly influenced. It's okay that right now I am not what I believe I should be already. I am so old, for example. I'm already so old. I've already been on this planet for so long. I've already had so much experience, and I've tried and tried and tried and failed at this thing. By now, I should have figured it out. So maybe if I don't look at it in the face anymore, I won't have to feel these negative thoughts, and I'll just ignore it for one more day. One more day. One more day. And then you just start to think to yourself, I'm someone who puts things off. I'm someone who is lesser than. All you have to do is right now in this very moment, say yes, world, universe, God, whatever it is, yes to literally outer space. I believe that it's possible for my hair not to be frizzy one day, and I will figure it out. Yes, I believe that right now I am not entertaining enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not knowledgeable enough. I am not as good as I should be. I should have more money. I should have more success. I should have more free time and accomplishments. I should have traveled to more countries. I should have spent more time with my friends. I should have worked harder. I should have had a better degree, 2 degrees. I should have gotten into medical school. I should have gotten into law school. Whatever it is you think that's holding you back and making you believe about yourself, oh, but it didn't happen for me, so I must not be that great. I must be just like all of those other failures. I must be like the people who are not as good because of what's happened in the past. And if you recognize to yourself that the reason why you believe this is because of outside circumstances, like outside circumstances made it that you couldn't afford to apply to law school, or you couldn't go, there's other outside circumstances, or maybe simply you weren't accepted. But when you think to yourself, the reasons why I am not a lawyer is because that admissions officer in that school said no to me, or those 10 schools said no to me, and under different circumstances, if I tried again, someone else could have said yes to me, then you open yourself up to the possibility. When you start to recognize that sometimes the things that happen aren't because I am not enough and I will never be enough, but rather it just so happened because these were the circumstances, and if this is something I really want, there's a possibility that it may still happen. That's when you start to take the steps, and that's when you open yourself up to saying yes, because oftentimes the thing that we want is literally right there. The door is right there, and we just need to step through it. So repeat after me in your head. I believe that it is possible for me to. It doesn't matter that it's not exactly what I always figured out in my head I wanted. It doesn't matter that I might not own a mansion, but it's possible for me to find at least even just a small house somewhere that will be mine, for example. And you have to obviously fill this in with whatever you want. It will just happen. It will just happen. I am open to change. I am open to this change. I am open to reality. I am open to this new reality. I accept that I will be seen and perceived online. I accept that I will be a person who owns a home. I accept that I will be a person who owns a new car. I accept that I will be a person who has the free time to spend it with my friends and family. I accept that I am someone who is active and has a healthy mind and body. I accept that I am someone who every day or almost every single day exercises and has a healthy body weight. I accept that I am someone who makes really delicious food. I can be someone who makes really delicious food, and right now all I know is one recipe, and it's not even great, but I accept that within the next 5 years I can be someone who makes really amazing delicious food for my friends and family. I accept that in 5 years I can be someone who learns how to cook so well that I can open up my own restaurant. Whatever it is that you want, you have to believe, and you have to have courage, and that courage comes from fighting the fear inside of your heart. You literally have to talk to yourself and say, yes, I know. Yes, I know I've been a failure. Yes, I know I haven't been chosen in the past. Yes, I know I haven't been good enough. I have been minimized. There has been people who put me down. There have been circumstances that have been working against me. Maybe I have limited free time. Maybe I have limited circumstances. Yes, and still, it is possible for me. Whatever it is, you